Just visually, he looks like a beast. His weakness is on the defensive end. No player in NBA history raised his team's offense as much as Jokic. He was enough of a force offensively that even if he wasn't skilled, his brute strength required a double team. The Joker just got disrespected by Superman. Dwight Howard's comments saying he was better than Nikola Jokic were more than just crazy. They were a pathetic attempt by a washed-up player trying to stay relevant. Wait, what did Dwight Howard say?
People are going to say Jokic can score. He got those offensive skills. But at the same time, I was getting 38 and 20, 45, 18, 19, 20, and I'm doing all this with twos, no threes, all twos. I don't want people to think that I'm trying to hate, even comparing, but I'm going to take myself. I know how dominant I was, and I know what I could do with my skills. I know that in my prime, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I'm Dwight Howard. I know what I've done in this league. All-time centers, I'm top 10.
When a guy who can't land a job in the NBA tries to remind players of his glory days by saying he was better than the reigning Finals MVP, it never comes off well. A few weeks ago, Dwight talked to Zion Olajide of Complex saying this. The regular talking heads toward Dwight a new one.
Stay off the weed. Dwight Howard. No shade on Dwight Howard in terms of how legitimate of a bona fide player and star that he was, okay? But that was defensively, with blocking shots and rebounding. To say that you couldn't shine Jokic's shoes as an offensive player would be an insult to Jokic. It's worse than that. You weren't in his class. You had no post game, okay? You had a jump hook. You were very limited. You had no other moves, okay? You couldn't shoot the basketball.
If you take Dwight Howard over Jokic, let us know in the comments, but keep watching to find out why the argument isn't even close. If you're talking about Dwight Howard, you've got to start and end the conversation by talking about his defensive prowess. He won 3 straight Defensive Player of the Year awards from 2009 to 2011, the only player ever to do that. He led the league in blocks twice and was on 5 straight all-defensive teams. If he's on your team, you have a top 5 defense. From 2009 to 2011, every one of his Orlando Magic teams was in the top 3 of defensive rating, including a number 1 ranking in 2009, despite not having a single other top-tier defensive starter. If you go up for an easy layup, he can careen across the court and swat it away, flexing his own biceps after every big block. You can't overpower him in the post, and he could hold his own against even the quickest guards. That defense was fueled by his insane athleticism. Just visually, he looks like a beast. He's the type of guy your girlfriend point to and say, just looking at him, he has to be the best player on the team, right? That made him one of the most electrifying players in the league, one of the most terrifying in-game dunkers of all time. And lest we forget what he did to win the 2008 Slam Dunk Contest. He soared through the air for a massive contest-winning dunk, and for a moment, we thought he could be Superman. You know how athletic you need to be to get that reaction from fellow NBA stars without even doing a flashy dunk? But what he had on defense was incomplete lack on offense. Sure, he had the spectacular alley-oops, he averaged 20 points a few times on stellar percentages, but his post moves never developed, to the point where it got embarrassing as he aged. Here's Bill Simmons, who literally wrote the book on NBA history, talking about Dwight's offensive game.
Could have done a 10-minute roast just on Dwight's prehistoric offensive game. Hey, Dwight, your low post game is like Tim Duncan after a head injury. You're the scarlet letter of Hakeem's summer big man camp. I'm trying to do a Jeff Ross impersonation. Poor Dwight. His footwork looked like a buzzed newlywed stumbling through his first wedding dance. Every one of Dwight's jump hooks looked like he was hurling a rock through a window. His offensive game never matured beyond dunks, alley-oops, and putbacks. His personality never matured, period. Dwight goes down as one of the biggest NBA superstar jackasses ever.
So he was a gifted athlete who only thrived on his natural athleticism, but had some of the poorest skills among any great player. In short, the antithesis of Nikola Jokic. Jokic often looks like he can't jump over a piece of paper. Remember when Kyrie tried to throw him an alley-oop in the All-Star game?
Don't sweat the technique.
His weakness is on the defensive end, but his effort keeps him from being a complete negative on that side of the ball. But what he lacks in athleticism, he more than makes up for in skills. Jokic might be on the short list of the best passers the league's ever seen, not just among centers, but among all players. He can see every spot on the floor because of his height advantage, placing the ball exactly where he wants with pinpoint accuracy and being able to see what's going to happen before it happens. It's almost clairvoyance. If he grabs the defensive rebound, which he does more than almost anyone in the league, it's one quick throw to an easy transition bucket. If he's at the top of the key, it's a cheat code. Someone will get an open shot. He's better at making his teammates look like superstars than anyone else. And don't forget, he doubles as one of the most versatile scorers in the league. So offensively, he's dominant. If you want some stats to back that up, the nerd community loves Jokic. He's led the league in win shares, PER, and plus-minus each of the last 3 seasons by a wide margin. In NBA history, he's 4th in win shares per 48, behind only Wilt, David Robinson, and Jordan. He's 2nd in PER behind Jordan, and he's 1st in plus-minus. No player in NBA history raised his team's offense as much as Jokic, at least according to the stats. But what if you switch teams? Because their styles of play were so drastically different, their teams were structured about as differently as 2 teams can be. Jokic's Nuggets are focused on athletic wings. They don't need a true point guard next to Jokic's playmaking, so the undersized shooting guard Jamal Murray plays the point. The other 3 positions are a mix of whatever slashers are available at the moment. Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, KCP, Michael Porter Jr. These are guys that can play hard-nosed defense, hit an open 3, and, most importantly, beat their man to the basket to receive a backdoor pass from Jokic. Dwight, on the other hand, didn't make anyone better. Like Jokic, he rarely played with another big man, simply because Dwight was strong enough to beat an entire team on the boards. So the Magic surrounded Dwight with shooters. Jameer Nelson, Hedo Turkoglu, Rashard Lewis, Ryan Anderson, and JJ Redick spent their time with Dwight. He was enough of a force offensively that even if he wasn't skilled, his brute strength required a double team. And even the worst passer in the league can pass out of the post to an open shooter. Dwight was able to ride the team, along with their defensive strategy of letting the best guy cook and defending the other 4 players, to a 2009 Finals appearance, beating LeBron in the Eastern Finals. Jokic, of course, won his team a title. If you flip the 2 players, they're both worse off. But Jokic has proven that he can, at the very least, drag any team to the playoffs, while Dwight's only had success when he was given exactly what he needed. Comparing incomparable players. So there are no 2 different stars in NBA history. It's hard to compare them, right? Well, we're going to anyway. Dwight's had the benefit of a full career behind him, while Jokic is only 8 years deep. Dwight's first great years were pretty unassailable, taking the torch from the fat, aging Shaq as the bold, all-caps next-grade center. But after his 8th year in Orlando, things started to fall apart. He clashed with Coach Van Gundy, asking for a trade away from the team that drafted him out of high school. When Dwight, a notorious people-pleaser, realized fans were hating him for it, he nixed the trade request and signed an extension. But 1 year later, he asked out again, with the Magic now far more limited. He got his way, went to the Lakers, and the hyper-competitive Kobe Bryant immediately revealed to the world what they had all feared. Dwight is an immature, non-competitive, losing player who only cares about fame, nothing else. Since then, he bounced around to several different teams, semi-redeeming himself with a 2020 title off the bench. In Jokic's 8 years, he's done nothing short of raising an average franchise to greatness. He's revitalizing the careers of Aaron Gordon, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and every other role player with a single great quality. He's teamed up with Jamal Murray to form one of the most dynamic offensive duos in league history. When Murray went down, Jokic dragged the overwise pedestrian Nuggets to the playoffs with a Herculean effort. And when Murray finally came back from injury this year, he brought Denver its first NBA title. The entire time, Jokic has continually said that he doesn't care about MVPs. He doesn't care about the accolades. He cares about doing the job to the best of his ability. Punching in, punching out after a hard day's work. When it comes to everything between the ears, Jokic beats Dwight by a mile. And because of those intangibles, there's no way Dwight was the better player. Should we forgive Dwight for his insane comments?
I know they trying to make comments about me saying Jokic this and Jokic that. And I have no to Jokic. I love him. I think he's a great player. But at the end of the day, I'm going to pick myself. Like, who are you or anyone to tell me somebody is better than me and I'm supposed to sit and believe it? I hope none of you guys are like that in life, where somebody tell you that this person is better than you, you can't do nothing. Like, no.
Can you hate a guy for hyping himself up? With immaturity comes irrational confidence. That irrational confidence is what led to him never really progressing as an NBA player. So when Dwight dropped these comments, no one was shocked. It's just Dwight being Dwight. But when Dwight was in his twilight years, playing the bruiser on the 2020 champion Lakers, he proved why irrational confidence isn't always a bad thing. He was matched against Jokic in the conference finals, and while Jokic clearly had the better series, it's obvious that some of Dwight's tactics got in his head. At the end of the day, this is just a guy who never grew up, who's trying to hold on to his glory days. He just finished playing overseas in Taiwan, unable to get an NBA contract. He wants to be remembered, so he'll drop a comment now and again to get back in the headlines. But even he surely knows he wasn't close to the player Jokic is. Do you think Dwight's defensive presence in the league that was heavily short on centers led to him having a better career than Jokic? Or do you think Dwight's comments were way off base? Let us know in the comments. Listen to Wrong Opinion, useless NBA trivia, and garbage rankings for more NBA content wherever you get your podcasts.